So I decided to revisit my story level. There weren't too many changes in this initial area with the house and the open environment. I did get rid of some of the audio, mainly the music coming from the car. It didn't really make sense in this context. I fixed some of the lighting issues with the light maps from, let's see, mostly dark corners where everything would be black instead of softly lit. The majority of the changes were a new level that I added to the scene, which I'll get to soon. Not much changed here. Notes are still the same. I'm going to rewrite this whole thing to make a bit more sense. Initially the story wasn't that finely tuned, but everything is about the same. The secret is still there, just over these hills. So if a player wanders over here, they will see the shack, and when they approach it, they can go inside and see this. I slightly adjusted the brightness of the flashlight. I found out it was just a bit too bright, especially for the level that I'm about to show right now. So the way that I want to integrate this is the next thing I'm going to show is a cave system that I made, that I brought in some assets of sort of different sections of a cave and put them together, and sort of designed the environment with other assets based on what I figured the cave should look like. So I'll go to that right now. It's loading here. So this is the cave, the start of the cave actually. The mouth of the cave is right here. I haven't exactly added the transition from the house area to here, but I will eventually. So what I have in the background is some ambient music. It's not necessarily cave sounds, but just a sort of droning, I guess, atmospheric sound. So if I walk forward here, triggers an event with the trigger box here. I look behind me. It's now caved in. These rocks have appeared. Also signaled by that sound of the rocks falling. And the way that this cave works, specifically the cave material on the floor, is that it scales infinitely, but it also connects to other pieces, so it's kind of a seamless transition. You most likely won't even be able to notice when the next section begins. In fact, I think this is a new section already from here, and there's no seam on the floor or on the walls. The way that this material also works well is that it picks up a lot of color from the lighting, so here this fire, a bit of the orange is reflecting off the walls. And this also reflects off of other objects, which you can see here. Again, the color going from these mushrooms here, you can see that along the walls, and you can see the texture on the cave floor. I tried to capture mostly what I figured the environment should be, since I was going with a bit of a mystery sort of vibe. I figured the best way to do it was to make this cave sort of dimly lit, but also a bit mysterious with these kind of out-of-place glowing mushrooms, random objects that the player finds as they go through. Yeah, again, these are sections of a cave that I can put together in any order, or basically make any kind of cave, which is really nice for storytelling, since I can form different paths. Yeah, so I had a rigid body set up to activate at a trigger box at this location, so when the player reaches it, a sound plays and the rigid body flies from over here to here and disappears. So where these three big rocks are, they're actually covering more cave openings. You can kind of see, yeah, you can see for sure, the openings that used to be there. So I'm gonna open those up in my next iteration of this level. But those are gonna be 3 separate paths that the player can take also. So that way the player has more to explore and more ways to figure out what's going on in the story. And yeah, that's about it. Definitely gonna expand this cave a lot more, add a lot more interesting artifacts or things that the player can interact with, and a lot more animations and blueprints to make it dynamic. So, there you go.